Okay, this video is about histograms. Histograms are a way to represent data sets when you have a lot of pieces of data. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this data and we are going to put it into the histogram. So our data is number of animals owned by students. So on the this top side over here, where are you not looking? Right, there it goes. This top side over here, the vertical axis is number of students, and this is our interval. So our interval is number of pets. So this chart up here is going to be what we use to create our histogram. So our intervals are from 0 to 2, 3 to 5, and 6 to 8. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all these numbers up here, and we're going to think about these down here as bins that we can drop them into. So we're going to drop them in the bins and see how many there are. So let's take a look. The 0, the 0, the 1, the 1, and the 2, and the 2 are all going to drop into the 0 to 2 bin. So in my 0 to 2 bin, there are going to be 6 numbers. So I'm going to make my bar go up to 6. The next one is the 3 to 5 bin. So I'm going to put all of them who fall between 3 and 5. So the 3 and the 4 both get dropped in the between 3 and 5 bin. So there were 2. There were 2 of them. 1, 2. And the first one had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And our last bin is a 6 to 8 bin. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers that fit into that bin. So I'm going to make my bar up to 4. So that's how you use a data set to create a histogram. Think about it like dropping it into bins. The 0 to 2 bin had 6 numbers. The 3 to 5 bin had 2. And the 6 to 8 bin had 4. So we can look at this bar, and we know that there are 6 students who had between 0 and 2 pets. We had 2 students who had between 3 and 5 pets, and we had 4 students who had between 6 and 8 pets. So now I'm going to ask you a couple questions about the histogram that we just made. So the first question I want to ask is how many students there are total in the class? So without the aid of my little chart that I just showed you, let's figure that out. Well, we would first look at this bar. The 0 to 2 bin has 6 students in it. The 3 to 5 bin has 2. How do I do? I just look like that. It has 2. And the 6 to 8 bin has 4. So if I add all those up, 6 plus 4 plus 2, and so that means this class has 12 students in it. So that's how you answer that. You basically look how big all the bars are and count them. That's how I can figure out how many pieces of data are in that. Okay? Next one, how many students own more than 6 pets? I want you to pause and solve that problem. Pause, solve. Okay, so more than 6 pets. So in order to figure that out, I'm going to look at our bars, and this one is 0 to 2, so I do not need that one. 3 to 5 is not more than 6, and so I'm going to look at this one, and 6 to 8, there will all be more than 6, and there are 4 there, so the answer is 4. Now the last problem is kind of one you need to think about. Estimate the mean number of pets owned. So the mean is the average. So what we're going to do is look at the graph to figure out where the mean would be. So think about it like a data set. You have 6 numbers over here. You have 6. You have 2 right here. You have 4 there. So think about which way things are being pulled. The mean obviously can't be more than 8 because there is no data over there. So the mean has to be less than 8. And it's probably going to be, it's got to be more than 0 because all of our data is between 6 and 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about it. So there are 6 pieces of data over here, but there are 6 right here. So it's probably going to fall somewhere right in here, maybe 2, 3, or 4. Would make sense for that information. Now, looking at just at this histogram, I would not be able to find the exact mean because I don't know. Just looking at this histogram, I do not know how many are 0, 1, or 2. I just know that there are 6 that are either 0, 1, or 2. I don't know how many are exactly 3, 4, or 5. I just know that 2 fall in there. So I can't figure out the exact mean using just a histogram, but I can figure out generally where it's probably going to be, because the mean is usually kind of in the center of all the data. So there's a couple questions with histograms to practice, or for your practice. Have a good weekend.